this is Miss Andrea, and this is my second attempt at making this video. For those who don't know who I am a veteran homeschooler, homeschooled my children from 2003 to 2013, when my youngest child graduated at age 16, started college a few months later at 17, and since then I've been helping people complete their college applications, set up their homeschool program, and most recently, for the last 3 years, I've been running my own homeschool program. This is the third of 3 videos. The first one focused on starting a homeschool co-op. The second one focused on starting a homeschool school or homeschool program where one person is in charge and you charge tuition. This final video takes things a little bit further, and it is about homeschool standards or educational standards and accreditation. I'm kind of glad that I lost the footage of the last video, because by the time I was done researching and making the video and editing it and thinking about everything I said, I completely don't agree with the homeschool accreditation for a homeschool program. And that's a back and forth that my partner and I have been having. I think I mentioned that in the last video, is I felt like we might want to get accredited at some point, and she wasn't feeling it. But now that I've done the research for myself and dug in deep, I'm not feeling it either. But let's start at the beginning. I had said I was going to talk about state standards in this video. Come to realize that state standards isn't so much a thing anymore, because we have Common Core standards. Formerly State Standards Initiative, Common Core. Common Core isn't what people think it is. People think Common Core tells you exactly what math to teach and forces that horrible new math on people, but that's actually the school system. Common Core just says every child in the 3rd grade in the United States is doing this math function during this month. And let me show you what I mean. Let's do grade 3. Quickly click grade 3. And let's do the introduction. And this is what everyone follows. In grade 3, instructional time should focus on 4 critical areas: developing understanding of multiplication and division and strategies for multiplication and division within 100. 2, developing understanding of fractions, especially unit fractions, fractions with numerator 1. 3, developing understanding of the structure of rectangular arrays and an area. 4, describing an analysis of 2-dimensional shapes. So basically, Common Core says that this is what 3rd graders should be working on. And then here's the overview of all the math functions they should be doing that year. That's what Common Core does. I like the way that language arts is kind of set up, so let's go visit that real fast. English language arts literacy kind of takes language arts and then combines like history, science, social studies into it, because it's all about understanding what you are reading and taking in. Let's do literature. Let's do grade 6. For the literature Common Core, they literally break it down month by month. 6 is for grade 6, and then point 1, point 2 through point 10 is for the month. Okay, so let's see what's required at 6.1. Students should be able to cite textual evidence to support analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. By the end of the year. 6.10. By the end of the year, read and comprehend literature, including stories, dramas, and poems in the grades 6 through 8, text complexity based proficiently with scaffolding as needed at the high end of the range. So basically, they're saying first month of the year, this is what we're working on. Their second, third, fourth through 10th month of the year, this is what we're working on. So this is important to anyone starting a homeschool program, anyone teaching a homeschool course, whether it be language arts, social studies, whatever, and anyone teaching a math course. These are the standards that students are doing in school, especially if you're a parent and you're homeschooling your child and you know that your child is going to go back into public school next year. You want to be following these standards because that's telling you where they need to be right now, and you go to the next grade and it'll tell you where they need to be next year, so there won't be any surprises when they try to integrate back in public school. CoreStandards.org. So take advantage of that, whether you run a homeschool co-op, a homeschool program, or you are homeschooling your children individually. As far as a homeschool program is concerned, if you're going to take on that role where you're going to run a program and people are going to pay you to teach their kids, you really do need to follow the core standards, because at this point you're being paid. At this point you've created a private school and parents are expecting you to have their children at the level they're supposed to be at a certain grade, at a certain age. So this is why Common Core is very important, and this is why I want you to pay attention to it. This is one very reliable way to get Common Core standards. If this seems hard to read for you, look at a textbook that you know meets standards, a public school textbook. You don't have to follow the textbook. You don't have to read the textbook. But if you get a textbook published in the last 3 or 4 years, then you know it's up to core standards and you know that it's following what your kid should be doing. So, I mean, they've actually simplified the language greatly. They've simplified the numbers that they use, because it used to be these long numbers, and now it's literally CCSS for Common Core something standards, literacy.rl.year.month. So it's super easy to follow for anyone at all who's interested in following it. And I highly recommend that you give it a try. So let's talk about accreditation. Once you're comfortable that your program is good, you're comfortable that your program is up to par and will keep students at least on grade level, if not better, you feel that you can offer parents accreditation, then you go ahead and you apply for that. The way you apply for accreditation is to join an accreditation agency, and then they'll give you a booklet and set you up, give you the information you need to review your own program. It consists of you putting together committees and, taking a detailed look at your program with these separate committees. And what you would be looking at is your purpose and direction, your governance and leadership, your teaching and assessing for learning, your resources and support systems, and using results for continued improvement. And once you feel like your program meets those things, then you let them know, and then they send someone to come in and review everything you've written up about your homeschool program, and then also review your facilities and make sure you are ready for accreditation. If they determine you are not ready for accreditation, they will tell you what you need to improve, and you can go back to the drawing board and do it again. That said, I've decided that I am not a fan. The reasons to have accreditation is that some parents will just want it. I've had maybe 10% of parents be really gung-ho about my program and then say, one more question, are you accredited? And the answer is no. And they don't even say thank you, goodbye. They just stop communicating. If they did have a conversation after that, I would let them know that what you really want is a private school. If you want accreditation, you want a private school. If you want an accredited program, then you want to run a private school. Once you agree to fall under an accreditation agency, you are removing a lot of freedom and flexibility from your program. And you really have to ask yourself if you want that. So I'm just going to read this part to you right here. An independent school seeking accreditation voluntarily commits to meeting a set of standards that have been established by the accrediting association as indicators of educational quality and institutional integrity. Accreditation entails accountability to an association of peer institutions that set the standards and oversee a school's compliance. The genius of independent school accreditation is that it applies and adapts to the vast range of institutions. The process is individualized in every aspect and yet still maintains a rigorous standard of quality. And so on and so forth. In my personal dealings with accreditation, and I've talked about this before, my kids used to homeschool school. Their school offered arts classes one day a week, and the second day a week they offered college prep classes. We did that a little bit in middle school, but then we went back to regular homeschooling because the classes were literally moving too slowly for my children. And so, I don't know. There has to be some way to allow acceleration for the kids. And with the Common Core the way it is, see, I don't mind the Common Core because, you can't fall behind this thing. But I have no problem with jumping ahead. You just say, okay, my child's in this grade now, and you move ahead and you can accelerate in common. Having the Common Core standards really help with that. But when you're a whole school and you're dealing with 100 kids and you have to follow Common Core to the letter per the accreditation agency, you dumb things down a little bit. And I'm actually not a fan of that. I believe that students should be able to accelerate. I believe you have, the list of standards that the children have to go through, and I don't believe in skipping steps, but I definitely believe in blowing through them if that is a child's strength. So, I've told you about starting a homeschool co-op where families can get together and, everyone corporately can educate the group. I've told you about homeschool programs where you pay a tuition, but you have one person in charge, and it gets rid of a lot of the co-op drama, which we'll talk about at a later time. And now I've told you about state standards, which help you know what you're supposed to be teaching. And we've discussed accreditation, but is it necessary? I did get my daughter's homeschool portfolio accredited. I had an oversight accreditation agency look at it, and it turned out that she didn't need it. she was accepted into college without it. It made the process easier, but they really didn't care. There were so many homeschool girls at that college that the transcript over portfolio made no difference. In addition, her scholarship was 100% based on talent. So it really just made no difference at the end of the day. And I feel like accreditation can hold back a homeschool program. Now, if you want that, I've given you some information on how to get that. Go for it. Definitely go for it. And give it a try. But make sure that it fits not only what the parents want, but what you want to do with your program. So that's all I have for today. Until next time.